We start our show as we always do by the name of Allah, the Most High, the one and only worthy of being worshipped. We thank Him, we praise Him. All praise is due to Allah, the Most High, the one and only. Thank you for watching again. We welcome you. Inshallah, we have some more information about it later. So we are joined today by our beautiful brother, our close brother, Brother Tim. If you were watching and following the YouTube Revert show or channel, you would have heard his story right on there. The story was very touching, very emotional. It was amazing, mashallah. And I know you guys have a lot of questions to ask. And if you do have more questions than the questions that I have to ask, then please feel free to call, leave comments, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, live streaming, or listening to a podcast. You can leave a comment or contact us, and we will give you the answer of your to your question or whatever comment that you have or whatever feedback. Brother Tim, please introduce yourself one more time, if you don't mind.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. My name is Brother Tim, and I'm glad to be here today.
Thank you for being here. It's our pleasure to having you here on the show with us. Jazakallah khair. And Jazakallah khair means may Allah reward you the best. Allahumma ameen. In case for any of you don't understand that word. So we heard your story, mashallah. Everybody who heard it was touched, mashallah. Emotionally, it's a very touching story. And we thank you again and again and again for actually giving us the opportunity to be the people who were able to broadcast that story on YouTube. Alhamdulillah. We thank you again. There are so many questions that came to mind while watching and listening to your story. SubhanAllah, I couldn't ask all these questions in the recording because it would have taken hours and hours. And we only have 30 minutes here, so we're going to try to get to as many questions as possible, inshallah. The first question that I do have for you, Akhi, is probably the one question that everybody has. What was the effect of reverting to Islam on you, whether it's personal, internal, or external, with your community, with the people that you know, the people that you love? Please tell us.
Well, again, thank you for giving me this opportunity to allow me to express why Islam has become the best thing that's ever happened to me.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah. I would have to say internally, it brought me to God. As you know, I didn't know God, and Islam was a chance for Allah to show mercy on me.
MashaAllah.
And it has had a tremendous effect the way I think, the way I interact with people, the way I view life now.
MashaAllah. Nice. So the view of life itself before was on, maybe you had different ways of looking at life and why you were living and why you were waking up every morning.
Well, my viewpoint on life was, before Islam, was, very negative. Because I was in a negative situation all the time, and without Allah, life is cumbersome.
MashaAllah.
It's very burdensome.
Yeah.
And since Allah has shown mercy to me, life has alleviated some of the issues that affect my everyday life, and I put it on Allah.
MashaAllah. It took away a lot of that weight that you were holding on your shoulders by yourself.
Inshallah.
There's others in your shoes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has helped. And He's helping you as well.
Inshallah.
And even for a Muslim who probably was born on Islam and started this life with Islam, and then all of a sudden, things start changing in their life. Maybe they find things that take them away from that path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then they start having that weight on them. And then once they remember what they are and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that weight starts getting lifted because they know what the qadr, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala predetermined for them, for their life. SubhanAllah. So personally, when you announced to people and friends and family that you have become Muslim, what happened then?
Oh, so excuse me. I lost a lot of family because of their ignorance about Islam. You know, the media has such a tremendous effect on how people view things, and so people assume that the stereotypes of Islam are true. I won't get into that. I'm pretty sure you know what they are, and worshiping Muhammad and virgins in heaven and all that crap.
Right.
So they had a prerequisite view on Islam that was unfounded in any kind of truth. And a few family members have disowned me, and a few have opened their eyes and started to educate themselves. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, that's beautiful.
And it's a work in progress. But again, my life isn't deemed on how they feel about Islam.
Yeah.
My life is deemed on what Allah has planned for me, and this is part of His plan.
MashaAllah. So you're saying somebody from your family disowned you?
Oh, sure.
Cut you off?
Sure, and friends.
And friends.
SubhanAllah. Yeah, and a lot of my friends were atheists because I was atheistic. And so may Allah guide them to the straight path one day, inshallah.
Allahumma ameen.
So it is what it is. It's a bittersweet thing.
Right. SubhanAllah. That must have been hard. What was it really hard on you? Like, why did I do this? Now all these people disowning me, all these people cutting me off. Is this the right thing I'm doing? Did you ever come to that sense one day?
No.
Never.
No, because I'm not living my life to please others. If I lost them because of this, then I never really had them, did I?
Yeah, you're right.
So
makes a lot of sense there.
If they cannot see the progress and the positivity that I've had in my life because of this, then I don't believe that, they should be in my life.
SubhanAllah. That's a beautiful way of thinking about it, SubhanAllah. That's amazing. And for people to understand, taking a religion, a new faith, a new belief system, when all your life you were taught from family and people who are surrounding you that maybe that's the wrong thing to do. Wrong thing to do. And then all of a sudden you start learning more and getting closer to knowledge. Now that's the key point here. Getting knowledge from the authentic sources. A lot of people nowadays take their knowledge from the media. And a lot of the media knowledge is mostly misconception. Why? Because that's what sells. That's what sells. You're going to turn on the TV and be like, listening to, like, I'm not going to call out no names, some newscast saying, Islam is the truth. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, loved everybody. Muslims love everybody. Is that going to sell, really? That's probably not going to sell.
No.
They'll be like, oh, they're terrorists. Oh, they be killing people. Oh, they be killing themselves to kill people. Then that would sell. But if you are smart enough, you would understand that not everything on the news is real. Not everything on the news is true. You need to do your own homework. You need to search and seek the truth yourself. Now, you were an atheist for a long time of your life. And alhamdulillah, how did you come to that point? Because subhanallah, and that's a beautiful thing to mention here, that an atheist, other than any other religion, other than Islam, of course, the atheist is probably the closest person to saying La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah.
Well, I was an atheist because of, if you remember on my testimony, I felt that Allah had abandoned me my whole life.
Right.
And I saw the examples of people who said they were God-fearing and it didn't match up what they were preaching. So, I decided there can't be a God. No God would allow the things that happen, to happen.
Right.
But as a Muslim, we are supposed to research.
That's right.
And we are all born Muslim by default. Whether or not our parents teach us Islam or not. But I've always had an inquisitive mind, and I've always researched things for myself, and I found that the eyeball in itself was creatively designed because it sees upside down and backwards. So therefore, that couldn't have been something that evolved from a single cell amoeba. So that kind of sparked a little clue as to, wow, maybe there's a higher power that created us. So, and then coupling it with life events, and it just led to, my revelation that Islam is for me.
So it led you to, there's no deity. There's no deity. But in Islam, what we say is there's no deity worthy of being worshipped except Allah. That's the only deity that has the right to be worshipped. There's a lot of different people who claim to worship different deities out there. And subhanAllah, in an atheistic thought or state of mind, like that, there's no God, there's no God, there's no God, there's no God. Then there's a but that comes after that, where you say there's no God but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has the right to be worshipped. And that's the key also factor, which is has the right to be worshipped. Because there's a lot of crazy people who might be worshiping something that has no right to be worshipped. It's created. How would you worship a creation when you can worship the creator? The creator that created all these unique things. When you mentioned the eyeball, subhanAllah, it's a very unique creation that if all mankind from the day of Adam, peace be upon him, until our day today, until we pass, if they all come together to try to make that eyeball, they will never be able to. Never. It's impossible. Subhanallah. So, thank you very much, and thank you for being a part of this beautiful show and being a part of all these different shows that are here to educate different people and just share information. Again, we're here just sharing information. We're not no scholars. We're not giving no fatwas. We're not doing that. We're only sharing information that we learn from scholars and from people of knowledge. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So you had the life that you had before you came here to Detroit, and then you were looking for somewhere to go to. Why Detroit? And I think you mentioned that somewhere in the video, but we want to kind of get more in detail. Why Detroit?
Well, for one, this is pretty much the heart of Islam in America. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
We have the United States' biggest masjid. We have people coming from all over the world to settle here, whether it be working at Ford or General Motors. And, you go around the country, you don't see too many sisters wearing niqab and jobs. And it just feels like,
with nobody messing with them, at least, huh?
Yeah, and I can walk down the street and proudly proclaim I'm Muslim, and I can ride in a van that has the name of a masjid on it without worrying about getting shot up by an ignorant person or terroristic threats or any of that, So I'm safe to practice Islam here.
MashaAllah, alhamdulillah. And I attest to that too, mashallah, because I came from different areas of the country, and subhanAllah, being here in Detroit makes you feel like you're home. Seriously.
Exactly.
As a Muslim, if you're anywhere outside of Detroit or the metropolitan area of Detroit, then coming to Detroit, you will feel that you're at home. Walking down the street, you'll hear the adhan. You go walking down the street, you see different brothers say, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum. You go to different stores with halal food, with the Arabic writing all over it, you know what I mean? That's a beautiful thing, alhamdulillah. And I guess you're claiming this to be home now.
Well, yeah, but let's not.
You're here to stay, huh?
Yeah, let's not get it confused, though. The Arabs comprise of the 20th of the Islamic world, but a lot of people associate Islam with Arabic.
Right.
And
I like that point. Yeah.
And it just feels good to be around brothers and sisters where I don't have to hide that I'm Muslim. It's a good feeling, or whatever. It's a good feeling.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And it's a good point that brother mentioned. It's not only Arabs that are Muslim. Alhamdulillah, we have variety of different ethnic backgrounds who are Muslim here in Detroit and the rest of the world, of course. You have the white brothers who are Muslim. You have the black brothers who are Muslim. You have the Indian, Pakistani, Bengalis. You have the Indonesian, Malaysian, Chinese, Japanese. Everybody. Shout out to everybody. All Muslims. Doesn't matter. Tim, if I may ask you, what is the most, let's say, awkward situation that you got into after becoming a Muslim? Something maybe that got you really disappointed, or something that got you. There's got to be a point where after you became a Muslim, you're like, oh man, that was something. Maybe somebody looked at you differently. Maybe somebody shouted a name at you. Maybe somebody prejudged you or judged you by just looking at you and knowing that you're a Muslim.
Oh, I wouldn't say a situation that disappointed me. Maybe a situation that kind of threw me off was coming up here and going to a masjid for the first time and saying Assalamu alaikum to people that were about to attend Jummah and not getting a response.
Oh,
that kind of threw me off a little bit because I expected people to have the same enthusiasm for Islam as I did. So I thought everybody welcomes everybody, and it just assuming that they had the same enthusiasm was a mistake. But
can I say this? Were you assuming perfection somewhere?
I was assuming everyone would be enthusiastic like me.
I see.
But I forget they're people too,
There we go. Alhamdulillah. I'm glad you mentioned that. And that happens with a lot of people who come into Islam and revert to Islam. They forget, because subhanAllah, look at you, mashallah. You had a long journey before Islam, and then you found the truth. The truth, the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the word of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's guidelines, there's limits, there's everything.
Yeah.
And you expect that a Muslim who was born on Islam would be perfectly following every step of this of this guideline or these guidelines.
I think, if I may, I may give my viewpoint on that. I believe that a lot of believers who were born into Islamic families tend to take for granted the gift that they've been given, and in their defense, they don't understand what it's like to be on the other side of the fence. So, to be
That's true.
Sinner who commits crimes and come from some family that, has experiences that they'll never experience because they've been Muslim since birth.
All their life.
So I can understand their viewpoint on I have tattoos.
Right.
I've delved into sinful things and they haven't. So to their defense, I can understand why they're a little skeptical or whatever. But again, I expected people to have the same enthusiasm that I had.
Right. And that's one thing that we like to keep mentioning and reminding people, that Muslims in general are humans. All Muslims are humans. And there's no perfection anywhere in this world. The only perfect thing, or the only perfection, is in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what He has. Now, such as Brother Tim, there's a lot of brothers who come into Islam and expect, because of the revelation of the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad is very clear, that us Muslims, like me, I was born into Islam. Alhamdulillah, it's a great blessing. But did I become a perfect Muslim? No. Did I follow Islam perfectly? No. And the majority of the Muslims are like that. Mm-hmm. And when a brother comes in, subhanAllah, that's why a lot of times brothers who come into Islam by seeking the knowledge of Islam, they have a higher subhanallah, a higher understanding of what Islam is. They're very similar to and I'm just quoting this, they're very similar to Sahaba. Because the Sahaba, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with them. I'm not saying that, Brother Taim is one of the Sahaba or other brothers, We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us like the Sahaba. But Sahaba were non-Muslims and were mushrikeen, were committing shirk. They were polytheists. They were worshiping idols and different gods and stuff like that. And then they learned the truth, and then they accepted it. And once they accepted it, because they tried the other side, they held on to this belief system 100%.
Oh yeah, don't forget to include in there that to be a Muslim means to serve, and Islam means to submit. So we should submit to Allah, and our will is not our will anymore. Our will is to do what He instructs us to do, and to do dawah and to strive to become a better person, and to reflect on, as a revert, to reflect on the things that I've been through so that I could teach others. Okay, I've been through this, you've been through that, and now come to Allah.
That's right. MashaAllah. That's what's up, man. I really appreciate you sharing all this with us and you being here. And, in the first place, alhamdulillah, that's amazing. Thank you very much. Now, if you had one person that, that you really want to get this message, the message of Islam to, are you able to tell us who it is?
I don't have this one person. I'm trying to tell it to the world.
If it's one person from the family who, let's say, or the friends who disowned you, or, that you think that if they had a chance to actually hear you out, they would have accepted what you had, what would you tell them?
Okay, that Islam is working for me.
So
and look at the changes that Allah has stirred in my heart and the way I think about things, because I'm not so negative, and I'm not dwelling on, negativity. I just put all my faith into Allah.
MashaAllah.
And the ones that matter see this.
That's right. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to share stories like this on the radio here in Detroit, which is one of the most populated places in Detroit, in America. Being able to be on the air, share information about Islam, and clarifying a lot of the misconceptions that's out there. A lot of the misconceptions, such as what the brother has mentioned already, that Islam is terrorism and all that stuff, which is stuff that you hear on the radio. And, you can hear it from somebody who tried Islam, alhamdulillah. Islam is not terrorism. Islam never was terrorism. Whoever commits terrorism, whether he's a Muslim or he's a Christian or he's a Buddha or he's a Hindu or he's a Jew, whatever it is that he's upon, they commit that because of something inside of them, something personal that happens with them, or some psychological issues or whatever. You know what I mean?
I think that the audience needs to hear what the word jihad means. And
nice.
Jihad means to strive.
To strive.
It means to seek forth, to, as a Muslim, we do jihad to strive within ourselves for
every day.
Maybe whether it be foul language or smoking or whatever the case may be. Jihad does not mean war.
That's right.
It does not mean to go out and seek people that are, quote, infidels. They need to be known.
That's right. Alhamdulillah, I'm glad you brought it up. We perform jihad every day. Every day. We're performing jihad right now, sitting over here and talking to y'all. We're performing jihad, waking up in the morning for prayer. Going to the masjid, going to the Jum'ah prayer, doing all these things. It's all jihad. Jihad is not really just raising up a sword or picking up a gun or doing something crazy like that. No, jihad is the biggest jihad is the jihad of the soul. The jihad of the soul is
for the sake of Allah only.
Alhamdulillah, thank you very much for doing this. We do have 2 more minutes left from the show. We really appreciate you being here, brother Tim. Jazakallah khair, and again, may Allah reward you the best, and may Allah reward everybody who are contributing in this kind of show, helping make this show keep going forward. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. We praise Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to make this that made this happen, that allowed us to be here, that allowed us to live this other day and be able to share information like this with you guys. Please don't forget to tune in here every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 12 noon until 12:30. You can also tune in by listening to us on YouTube live streaming. And if you missed the live streaming, then you can go to the channel and listen to whatever has been streamed already, and you can listen to it again. Check us out on Facebook as well, the Revert channel, the Revert show. Also look for our podcast on any podcast platform. You will find it in Allah Ta'ala. We thank Brother Tim once again for being here with us, sharing his story before, and answering some of these questions. If you have any questions, please contact him. And we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to do this. And we thank you all for being a part of this. And we'll be back, inshallah, tomorrow again for another beautiful show, another way of life, another day to share this information with you. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. And again, the YouTube channel is the Revert channel, Facebook, the Revert show, and the podcast. And we'll see you later tomorrow, inshallah. Peace. Salam.
40 a.m.